Thanks to my friends, family, viewers like you, and a little bit of leftover birthday kashish, I was able to finally afford the camera of my dreams. Turns out, I actually didn't need a new camera, all I wanted was some blur. It's blurry over here! But up close, everything's really clear. But anyhow, for better or for worse, this is how you will be looking at me and my clones now.
Hey, nice blur!
See, don't they look better in blur?
Hey!
I'll be honest, I don't know that much about digital cameras. I know like a little bit. Like a little bit. Like just a tiny little bit. But sometimes knowing just a little bit is all you really need to know. Case in point. At work we have a giant trash compactor. You put your trash in a hole in the wall, you press a button, it compacts. It's that easy. But recently it hasn't been working very well. You would have to hold the button in for several seconds before it would work. Now I don't know a thing about trash compactors, but I knew enough to look at the little PSI gauge above it to know when the compactor was actually compacting. All I knew was to watch that gauge until it fired into the red, and then I knew that it was working. So the repair guy comes out to fix it, and before he leaves he wants to explain to someone what was wrong with it. And he sees me. When he looked around the room, he was probably looking for someone a little bit older, someone who might have a better understanding of this electronic circuit. But I said they weren't paying attention to the PSI gauge on top to know when the machine was working. To refresh, that's the only thing I know about the machine. But that's all I have to say. This recognition comes over his face as if, here's another human being who actually understands how things work. So then he explained a bunch of electronic circuits and relays to me that I don't understand. The point of all of which was just to tell us to hold the button longer. So fellow human beings, take a look around your environment. What piece of whatever do you not understand a thing about? Take some time today, maybe get to know the first thing about, say, your air conditioning unit, or the first thing about your operating system, or the first thing about playing bass, or the first thing about how to not zoom so close. Whew, that's better. This is 5 things.
This week. Ringer!
First up this week, Star Wars is complete fiction, right? According to a recent report in Science, perhaps not entirely so. Before now, the concept of a planet orbiting a binary star such as Luke Skywalker's Tatooine in Star Wars seemed pretty far-fetched. Turns out that could actually, and has actually happened. The planetary system known as Kepler-47 is located roughly 5,000 light years away in the constellation Cygnus. Imagine going outside, looking up, seeing our sun, and then seeing another smaller sun that's right beside our sun and goes around our sun every 7.5 days. It was thought for a long time that this kind of orbit would be too unstable, that any planets in that solar system would be on a crash collision course with the suns themselves. And while Kepler-47, much like the rest of the universe, is not likely to hold life, it is pretty cool that something that George Lucas made up is true. Next, midichlorians. Sent in this week by Dave Moulton via Ron Smellick, it's The Legend of Dora.
Thank goodness you're here. It's very important that you take our daughter.
Yes, I must train the Avatar so she can bring balance.
Yeah, just get her out of here.
It's called Aqua. Can you say Aqua?
This is from a television show called Mad on Cartoon Network. Yes, Mad as in Mad Magazine. Based on this short, I would say it's kind of like a kid version of Robot Chicken. It's also really funny. Like, really funny.
You don't scare us. This isn't Nick Jr. Yeah, this is regular Nickelodeon. Oh, well, I wasn't gonna fight a little girl.
Like, it's so funny that I'm getting distracted by it in the background right now. I mean, at the very least, maybe it'll help tide you over until new episodes of Legend of Korra actually come out. Ah, it's such a good show! And speaking of tiding you over while you wait, featured on 5 Things previously is Black Mesa, a fan's tribute to the original Half-Life.
Good morning, and welcome to the Black Mesa Transit System. The time is 8:47 a.m.
A small contingent of fans have been working on a Half-Life 2 conversion of Half-Life for several years now, and on September 14th, you're finally going to be able to play it. The game will be complete all the way up till Lambda Core. Yes, that does mean no Zen yet. Spoiler alert, at the end of the original Half-Life, you actually go to the alien world for the last level. You won't be doing that in Black Mesa. Yet. But everything else, except Deathmatch, is done and ready to play. Psychonauts is wrapping up on SVM Gaming. Black Mesa is finally coming out. Maybe Gordon Freeman Speaks should be lured out of retirement. And speaking of video games getting a fresh new start...
At 0500, Bowser's airships dropped 2 atomic bombs on Yoshi's Island. And Brioche has surrendered unconditionally.
This is a trailer for a series coming to YouTube featuring all those Nintendo characters you know and love, but doing things you've never seen them do before. Personally, I love the way Toad looks. I also love how bad the fake mustaches are. Brilliant. And finally, sent in this week by Ryu Takesh is a one-man Les Mis medley by Nick Patera.
I dreamed a dream in time gone by, when hope was high and life worth living.
The film version of Les Mis is nearly here, and it's going to be starring Hugh Jackman and Hathaway Russell Crowe. And I'm sure that it's going to be great. They all sing their own parts. But could they all sing each other's parts? Because Nick can do that. At first when I was watching this, I was like, no. He's obviously lip syncing that. And then I read the info and I looked in the comments and I was like, no, he's really doing all that. Holy shit. For the amount of talent and work that went into this video does not have nearly enough attention. Charmy members, get over there and give him some love. He deserves it. And that does it for 5 Things this week. Thank you very much for watching. Everything that I've talked about this week is in a link dump in the info. Make sure you follow me on Twitter at shawnvmartin so that we can chat. Look for a new 5 Things podcast in the iTunes store this weekend, and I'll see you next week. Sean? Oh, come here. Come here. So pretty. Wow. Delta, what are you doing? Put that down. Huh? Nothing. What? Oh, everything's fine. It's supposed to be bent that way, right? Hey guys, thanks for watching this week. I am a little bit nervous about your ability to see me so well now. But it's fine. I've been putting myself on the internet for over 2 years now. You'd think I would be past the self-conscious barrier, but man. Plus, if you go back and look at my earlier videos, I was chubby. I mean chubby for me. SVM chubby is like a little bit in the jawline. I don't know when and if I will actually ever be able to get fat. Make sure you check out the other shit I've been doing this week. Up top, we've got the first episode of the now rebranded 5 Things podcast. That one features Alicia Pez. We talk about the Hunger Games, recently released on DVD. We also talk a little bit about the book series. On this week's episode of the 5 Things podcast, I will be introducing you to a new person. His name's Chris. Chris and I are going to be covering NBC's The Voice. So details about that will be coming soon, but you can look for our first podcast where we do a little bit of get to know you this Sunday on my YouTube channel and on iTunes. In the middle, we've got the most recent episode of Survivor Die 2. I make a bunch of cakes. It's way more complicated than that. It's over half an hour long, and it's in 1080p, so you should definitely check that out in full screen HD. And on the bottom, we have the most recent episode of SVM Plays The Sims. It is episode 50. I don't know how I've played 50 episodes worth of this game, but I have. And that episode features Alicia Pez. We give her a full makeover, and she's quite the sexy mama. I mean, because she's a mom in the game. I would never call my wife sexy mama. Okay, I'm not going to say never. I'm not going to say never.